Hello, everyone. I'm Nolan Meyer, CEO of Double GDP. We're building an end-to-end platform for new cities to connect with residents, accelerate growth, and deliver responsive public services. I'm here today bringing a sprint update for June 23rd, 2021. As always, I'll take you through what our goals were for the last sprint, how we did against those goals, and what we aim to accomplish in the next sprint. Let me move over to the right side. So in this sprint, our overall goal is to have a population of 32 by the end of June. We had three product areas of payments, Guardflow, and customer journey. And I am in Kenya now. So in other initiatives, the goal is to get to Kenya and have a visit here and work on a new city flow for upcoming residents. How do we do against those goals? Well, no update on population in this sprint, but we actually I came to Kenya and other members of the team were in Honduras. That was a nice surprise for the sprint that we were able to schedule that trip. And so we worked on the initial training in person rather than remotely. So that was very exciting. I'll bring you into more updates shortly. First, let me tell you about our overall population goal. We were at 24 at the end of May. Doreen has an update on pipeline for June. It's looking stronger, but I won't go into that today. Talking about Kenya, this was my first time to meet Doreen and Justin, and it has been really a pleasure to see everybody. We came for one city, we met with five, and those five cities have just been super exciting. We've seen many beautiful houses that are built and ready for people to move in, some places where there are, in fact, already residents. And we got a chance to tour around all of these and meet with the people who are building these cities. It was just super exciting. I want to share a little bit about how we've been talking about ourselves, because I think that has evolved quite a bit, or at least has gotten a lot more concrete. We're still introducing ourselves as a platform, as a hub with a digital ID at the center and mobile apps with a variety of modules that we built as starting places with connections to outside devices and IoT. At the resident and administrative level, there's a unifying mobile app that brings all of that together from their experience. So this is kind of an IT view and kind of a layperson view. And then what we've been doing is giving that kind of overall framework and talking about the selected functionality and modules that we have available and letting the city administrators kind of guide us in terms of the things that they're interested in. And then we have a variety of different slides that can show each of those things in a little bit more depth, but we let them kind of guide the conversation from there. That's been working very well. It's been exciting to see the receptivity to it. I'll tell you a little bit about some of the things that's resonating very well. The centerpiece for all of this, these are property developers that we're talking to first and foremost. And so the most important value proposition is that everything comes together to drive land value and unit sales. Some of the things that have been resonating are the ways that we can take visitors and help convert them into plot owners, because all of this is integrated together. Every kind of touch point that the city has with any community member can actually help drive sales. And that kind of driving of sales can also help increase collections rates. The more responsive a city is to its residents, the more likely they are to pay on time and want to be a part of that city. Other things that are resonating well, the unified app. Everybody is aware of the difficulty of having all these systems talk to each other, and so the unified aspect of it is very valuable. Incident management and just being able to understand. Many of these cities are outsourcing different parts of the city or working with third-party providers, but they still want to make sure that that resident experience is good. So the incident management helps give them oversight to what's going on. Mapping and how you can make the city understandable to a layperson. Newsletters and community, especially those being able to distribute them by role, being able to say, okay, here's a newsletter for visitors, here's a newsletter for owners, here's a news residence for residents who may be renters, not owners. And so being able to communicate with each of the different constituents in the way that's meaningful to them is valuable. Some of the other things that are really exciting to hear is that some of these city developers are really excited about the idea of progressive development. What we at WGDP have talking about as iteration, they've been calling progressive development. And so that's actually resonating very well in a way that's exciting for me to hear. And another thing that's been great is being able to show that our application is available to all community members and that there's no download required. Another key value proposition that really helps drive growth and makes that application accessible to everybody. Surprisingly, so many people have keyed in on hackers in residence. And the thing that we've understood even more about that now than previously is how important having a skilled workforce is in a city to attract premium investors. So even this can drive the land sales and the unit sales within the city. That's some of the stuff that's resonating. What are some of the things that we've been hearing that were not as high on our radar? RFID cards seem very common. We've been using QR codes to check in. So I think RFID cards would be a nice iteration there and a way to allow residents another way to check in with the city. Connecting with smart meters and prepaid utilities were something we heard a few times. Smart parking came up several times, being able to reserve a parking spot at a mall or be able to um, pay for the parking spot through the app. Again, having the data to be able to feed that in and understand who's coming and going to the city adds another aspect to the smart parking. Reserving spaces within the city, like a basketball court, was another one that came up. Being able to leverage the CRM capabilities into the document generation. So building that alignment between the sales process, being able to take the payment plan that somebody agrees to, turn it directly into a document, be able to feed that into collections. Another really valuable use case that I think we haven't been articulating and talking about quite as much. Allowing businesses to advertise, construction management, property management, especially being able to connect owners with renters or visitors, and then the skilled workforce that I talked about, I think is a different articulation than what we've been saying in Hackers in Residence. So a lot of good learnings there from the trip. In the other things that we've been doing, great progress on payments this week. I don't know exactly how many features, but we have improvements in the flow, being able to record a new payment, being able to see all of the balances, being able to merge users if there are two different users in the system that's related to the payments, being able to see search results and having that in the make a payment section too, to be able to distinguish between multiple people with the same name, being able to search by ID number rather than just by name, and being able to generate a printed receipt with a unique name. All of that is great. In addition, the customer success team and UI designer have been working closely with Inkwashi to do training and rollout and actually get more information from the UI to feed the next round of iterations. Very excited about the progress here. On the Guardflow, I don't have updates here. Minsa will share more with that on the progress that we've made on some of these things. This is the list of things that we had hoped to do, but because of all of the travel and because I'm going on vacation tomorrow, our schedules have been a little bit off this week in terms of the updates. And on the customer journey, we've made one connection now to be able to start talking about the journey in the application. So this now, Residence is now connected with live data. This is, of course, dummy data that I'm sharing here, but now our customer success team and city administrators can go into the app and see how many residents are currently occupying the city. We have a little bit of data cleanup to do to make that useful, but having that in the app now gives us a capability that we didn't have before. More coming there. On the deployment side, I also wanted to just highlight so much work in terms of actually being in the field this week, both in Honduras and Zambia. In Honduras, we've been working on the Guardflow and learned a lot about the customs import and export process. And we had visits we visited Honduras both from New York City and from Lagos. So thank you to the team that has worked, has really put in the effort to get there and to be on site and to get that deployed. And the great news is we now have guards in Honduras actively using the application. We have, I forget if it's 20 or 30 different check-ins already, but 4 days worth of data that's already being accumulated there. And that seems to be going very well. Minsa, I'm sure, will provide more update on that soon. In Zambia, we have been working on the hacker house setup. We upgraded the power there. We have actually, I think this is not our first staff in residence. We added another staff in residence and more training and feedback on the payments product and a first iteration on the construction rewards that we're planning to iterate again in the next sprint. Speaking of the next sprint, let me get my little graphic here. I am going on safari. I'm super excited. So I will be out for the next week. And then after that, we'll plan to go to Nigeria if all the COVID arrangements permit. Product, I'm going to leave those updates to Minsa. I don't have the update for you today. And in other initiatives, our goal is to add 6 more residents in the next sprint, 2 more prefabs, and prep for the first client move-in that we don't expect in the next sprint, but we're working on that welcome flow to help make that a great experience for people moving to a new city. That's it for today. Thank you very much. I'll see you again in 2 weeks.